And then I'm going to see you too, right? We're going to see both.
Yep.
Okay, good.
All right, here we go. Okay. All right, let's see. What am I? Okay. Okay, let's see. How do I? Well, good evening. Technical difficulties. I'm trying to bring us up, but I have Maxim Furek tonight. And give me 1 second to see how I can get rid of this. Okay. All right. Where are we? Okay. I don't know why we're not up on the screen.
Is there something on my end?
No. Normally I play the intro and we're right there. Let's see. Let me see if I have to do anything with the. No, I don't want the solo layout. Maybe present? No, is it present? No, I don't have that. Settings. I don't want to leave studios. Stop. Oh my God. All right. I don't know how to get rid of it. Maybe it's the background. How about, is there a way to remove the background? Oh, there we are. All right. Sorry about that. The joys of my wife, Gwen Purcell, from Behind Tall Trees, by the way, did that lovely thing, and I didn't realize I had to unclick it, and then woof, the veil just dropped. But Maxim, thank you for bearing with me, everybody watching and will be watching. Thank you. We have Maxim Furek. His new book is out, the Lost Tribes. Sorry about that. I'm still getting over it. Okay. All right.
And Mike, your picture there is bitmapped. It's all squares and rectangles. So I don't know what's going on. It's either the Men in Black or stalking you or something. But
okay.
Something wonky about it.
Okay, let me try to change my background then. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I look like I'm interdimensional, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Let's try to get rid of that background. Let's see. I don't know how I did it. But bear with me because we definitely don't want that. Let's see. General virtual background. How about we just do a blur? How about that? Maybe?
No, that's still a blur.
All right. And is that gonna be better?
No.
All right.
I think one of us is cursed.
Well, let's keep this one. This one isn't as bad. I just won't move as much, and then it'll just look like you're in my living room rather than my cramped office.
Okay.
But thank you. All right. So Maxim, thank you, and for everybody. Like I said, Maxim's new book came out. Maxim was a speaker last year at the Central Pennsylvania Cryptid and Bigfoot Festival. That's where I got to meet him last year. So what have you been up to since then?
Well, first of all, I just had a book published by Hangar One. This is Doug and Alex Hychek, who do the Monster Quest series. But the book came out. It's called The Lost Tribes of Bigfoot. And I do mention your Ellisburg inaugural Bigfoot Expo because that was one of the things that really helped get me into the field. And what happened was I had a book come out called Co-Region Hoodoo, the Paranormal Tales from Inside the Pit. And Co-Region Hoodoo had 2 chapters on Bigfoot, the Bigfoot hypotheses and the Bigfoot Enigma. And based on those two chapters, I mean, I started to get invited to various Bigfoot expos, and it was just pretty phenomenal for me. So I just decided, I wanted to go and follow the trail and see where it would take me. And I started to do as much research, as much reading, talk to as many people about Sasquatch as I could. And so the book called The Lost Tribes of Bigfoot, you could see it there. It's by Hanger One, and that's just an awesome cover.
It is. That's nice.
And there's me as a rock journalist there in Greenwich Village. But the book is available on Hanger One Publishing and also Amazon.com, of course, who have cornered the market. But if anybody's interested, check it out. The one thing I do want to say about the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot, they have a thing called IBT. It's immersive book technology, and I'm going to try to find this, and here it is. And basically what it is, it's QR codes. So what you do is, there's about 8 of them or 10 of them in the book. You hit that with your iPhone's camera, and it'll take you to a space. You just press on the little yellow rectangular emblem, and there'll be a 3 to 4 minute video of me doing a synopsis of that chapter. So it's cutting edge technology. As far as I know, Hanger One Publishing is the only one who utilized that. And it's just phenomenal. It just adds another dimension to this Bigfoot experience. So you really have to see it to believe it. But if you're a Bigfoot aficionado, you really want to take a look at this book. And it's different. And, I'm really excited. It's probably my best book. And this is my 7th book. So.
Oh, wow. That is pretty. And so it's almost like it's interactive. I mean, you get to read, but then you get a video clip.
Pretty much, yeah. And then also, just for future reference, I'm going to be at the McBride Library on Monday, September the 16th.
Okay.
It's going to be at 6:30, and I'm going to be doing a PowerPoint presentation on the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot, and also I'll have books available, to autograph. So that's Monday, September the 16th. McBride Library in Berwick, Pennsylvania. That's on Market Street. And we're expecting a pretty nice group of people to show up for that. So,
nice. Any other events you have for the rest of the year? Or?
Yeah, I was invited down to Baltimore for the Fort Fest. That's going to be on September 20 and 21st. And there's a whole bunch of ringers there, like I think it's Larry Anderson, who does the spontaneous combustion. There's the one guy, he's a Hollywood producer who does the Roswell series, and I forget who all else, but this is I'm up there with some luminaries, and this should be a really big opportunity. Baltimore is just a larger stage, and so it's a lot of fun because my name's getting out there a bit, and I'm looking forward to spending a couple of nights in Baltimore and meeting those people. So that's going to be great. We'll be doing some other ones too, and I'll put the other book signings on my Facebook page, and that's Maxim Furek, Facebook. So, everybody's on that social media. But anyway, that's what's happening.
Nice. So, about your new book, how did you come up with from the paranormal to Bigfoot? What the transition? I mean, just.
Yeah. Well, I think it's pretty much all the same. I'm a former rock journalist, and in northeastern Pennsylvania, our claim to fame was in 1971. There was a hit song called Timothy. It was by a group from Wilkes-Barre called The Boys, Buoys. And Timothy, written by Rupert Holmes, the Pina Colada Man, Timothy was about cannibalism in a mine shaft. And so I started to do some research, and I was going to write a rock biography about Timothy and the Boys, because these were our hometown heroes. And I discovered Shepton. So the 1963 Shepton mining disaster. And if I may, excuse me, this is totally unprofessional, but here was the book that came out the first day of 2016. And in Shepton, there were 3 guys that were entombed for 2 weeks. Only 2 came out, and there were allegations of cannibalism. So the song Timothy from 71 seemed to parallel what happened in Shepton in 63. As I investigated Shepton, I saw cases of out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences, and afterlife experiences. There were weird things happening in the coal mine, and the Shepton mythology opened up the doors to the paranormal for me, and that was the beginning of it. Since that, I've been invited to a ton of podcasts, conferences. The Shepton book was they did a 90-minute program on Australia's mysterious universe. The Skeptical Inquirer wrote this really big piece about it. They bashed me at the end using a very archaic thing called Occam's razor. And if your listeners don't know about that, Occam's razor is sort of like a medieval thing that if there's something that happens that's of these supernatural, what you do is you look for the least common denominator. You look for the most basic explanation. And with Skeptical Inquirer, they said that the miners, instead of seeing all these paranormal and experiencing all these paranormal things, that maybe they were dealing with hallucinations or swamp gas or whatever, So, but again, they gave, I had got tremendous exposure from the Shepton book, and that was in 2016, 9 years ago. So I've been in this field for 9 years, and Co-Region Hoodoo was a huge success. Flying Saucer Esoteric, which also came out in 2023, been turning heads. And now the latest one, and this is my 7th book.
Wow.
And this is The Lost Tribes of Bigfoot, that I believe, and Doug Hychek thinks it's the best book. I mean, he just loves it. So he's launching a promotional campaign, and I think that a lot of people are going to be hearing about the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot. So,
you want to give a little brief explanation what you dove into about the Lost Tribe of Bigfoot?
Yeah, I think tribes is sort of like a metaphor.
Okay.
But here's the thing: everybody's looking for this cryptid known as Sasquatch or Bigfoot, and we don't know what exactly it is. I mean, I believe Bigfoot exists, but we don't know in what realm, whether it's physical, spiritual, interdimensional, or whatever. And so I address that. But excuse me, with people talking about Gigantopithecus and Neanderthal and Yeti, Abominable Snowman, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, all missing links, all that. I decided to take all of those and use the term tribes and just take a look at all of these possibilities. And so that's what we do. The Lost Tribes of Bigfoot takes a look at possibilities. What could Bigfoot actually be? What are the possibilities? And if you look at Jeff Meldrum, who is like one of the saints, I mean, he's one of the leading scientists there. And I know that you and Gwen met him in I guess London, but I met Jeff Meldrum down in Ocala, Florida, in 2023 at the Bigfoot Expo, and I had a chance to shake his hand and talk to him briefly. But anyway, he's the one that believes that Giganto is the link, a possible missing link between this ape creature and also Bigfoot. He also talks about Bigfoot being bipedal, walking on 2 feet like humans. So again, he connects that, that Bigfoot is somehow a humanoid cryptid. So Jeff Meldrum is well regarded. He claims that he is the last one to get invited to the table, at Bigfoot conferences, just because he's of the scientific community. But he's, he has one of the largest collections of foot casts, in the world. And he is from the University of Idaho and just an anthropologist. But one of the things one of the local connections here with Pennsylvania is that some folks discovered Bigfoot tracks out in Hollidaysburg, Pennsylvania.
No,
Eric Altman, our friend Eric, was able to go and get some of those cast and send those to Dr. Jeff Meldrum for his collection. So Pennsylvania is reputably number 3 as far as sightings after Washington State and California, and then there's Pennsylvania. So we see a lot of Bigfoot. We have a lot of sightings, especially in Western Pennsylvania. But here's the thing that Michael, that really gets me. There's not only Bigfoot sightings, but Bigfoot in conjunction with UFOs. So you see these, people are seeing this, and it just shows that there may be a real paranormal aspect to Bigfoot. What it is, we don't know, but there seems to be all these sightings of Bigfoot and flying saucers together. And we know this because in Western Pennsylvania, we have our friend Stan Gordon. And Stan's the man. I mean, Stan's the guy that is the keeper of the keys. He documents all of these sightings. And here's something that's pretty interesting. Whenever the state police in Western Pennsylvania get a report about a Sasquatch or a flying saucer, they say, call Stan. So they give him Stan's number. So Stan writes this down and puts it in his catalog. So he's been keeping the score for the longest time. And I mean, it's just amazing, the collection of data that he's put together. So we're fortunate to have somebody like him. I've known Stan for years, but last year, a friend of mine, Joseph Lipinski, he's a hospital worker. And, Joe and I live in Mackinac, Pennsylvania, in Luzerne County. And my wife and I and Joe and his wife were out for dinner. And Joe just casually mentioned that he saw 2 Bigfoot creatures. And I said, what? And he said, yeah. And he saw them outside of this cemetery in Mackinac. And he described the one as being larger and it was black. The other one was smaller and it was cinnamon colored. And he told me where it was at the tree line. So the next day, my wife and I went out there and we walked those trails. We were looking for tracks. And then I got permission from Joe, and I called Eric Altman and Timothy Renner and also Stan Gordon to report this. So Stan documented that and, attributed my name to the sighting, but actually it was my neighbor, Joe Lipinski. But anyway, these sightings are all over. A lot of people are seeing them, and it's not just in Western Pennsylvania, but it's also in northeastern Pennsylvania and the coal region. So, we have Bigfoot sightings in every state except one. And Michael, here's a 10-pointer for you. Which state can't claim any Bigfoot sightings?
Oh,
and I know you think I'm being a wise ass, but
no, that's interesting.
But go ahead.
Out of the 50.
Out of the 50, yeah.
Let's just go with Hawaii.
You got it. 10 points. Okay, 10 points. That's good for a free coffee.
All right, I'll go make one now. That is interesting. And you were saying the western part of the state. I had a friend that I worked with, and he probably within the last year or last 6 to 8 months sent Gwen a picture. He was on 54 outside of Elysburg. There's as you're going up to Natalie, it used to be Roaring Creek. Now it's Weiser State Park.
Right. That's going at the gas station. It's taking a left, right? Correct.
If you're coming from Knoebels, yes. If you're coming from 61 down 487, Sheets is on your right. You're going to make a right and go through Bear Gap and up. So it was probably about 2016. It was in the winter. There was snow on the ground. And I forget how many. I know I've never walked from the one end to the other end. So it takes you from like near 54 out to, I can't think of a route from Aristus down in 42. It's several miles. Well, he was out with his dog running and got about halfway in, I would say about a mile and a half, 3 miles in, and he saw a huge footprint in the snow. He didn't have his camera. He ran back to his car, ran back to get the photos, and then like whatever. I'm like, that's a lot of running for me for being a big guy. This guy doesn't run, but that would be something. And she sent the photos too, and it's incredible to see the sightings and hear about people having sightings in our area.
Yeah. I had something interesting to say that has nothing to do with Bigfoot or what we're talking about, but I just want to throw it out there. That what is the reservoir there? Is that Wisner?
Wiser? Yeah.
Wiser. Okay. I used to be a drug and alcohol counselor.
Okay.
And I was very much informed at the time on emerging drugs of abuse. So I would do trainings around the state about these, anti-drug trainings. But there was a thing called bath salts. And bath salts was a drug that promised you euphoria and a wonderful high and great sex and music and everything else. But typically, when you do bath salts, you would get so amped up that you became psychotic. But anyway, there were two stories I remember about bath salts. One took place in Cook County, Western Pennsylvania. The other took place at the reservoir in Wisner State Park in our area. Both times, it was law enforcement officers that did bath salts, went for a walk through the woods, and then they became overheated. They took off their clothes. They're walking through the woods naked, high on bath salts, and eventually they died from hypothermia. But again, Western Pennsylvania and Eastern Pennsylvania, and all these reports would come across my desk, and I put two and two together. So again, has nothing to do with Bigfoot, but I just throw that out there. So
yeah, Weiser State Park used to be Roaring Creek. That's where the water supply for the area is, and
and I used to do the Hellbender race there, which is a wonderful race that they do. Yes, to preserve the Hellbender. So anyway, you're correct. We do have a lot of sightings here in Pennsylvania, and I say a lot of people say that Pennsylvania is number 3. But when I talked to Stan Gordon, he says we really don't know because there's just not one data center that keeps all these reports. We have a multitude of people that are doing the data, like Stan is one of them. But we believe that California, Washington, and Pennsylvania, are ranked in that order. We really don't know, but that's a good guess. But certainly, if we're not number 3, Pennsylvania is in the top 5 as far as sightings.
That's very interesting because I would have never guessed that. I mean, I grew up, hearing about Sasquatch and Bigfoot, and was like, if they exist, they exist. If they don't, and then Gwen had her sighting, and then when she started doing the research, the one day she was like, Pennsylvania is the 3rd most, noted for sightings. I'm like, get out of here. That's crazy. Like, I guess every state in some way or another has a lot of forestry, but you think, when I think of trees and forestry, I think of like Washington State, Oregon, and stuff like that. Now, if you're talking deserts, Nevada, and maybe some parts of California, but like, come on, I was like 3. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
We do have that, and
even with Pennsylvania, we have vast acreage of woods and forests and mountains. There's places there that are really hard to get to, or maybe places that haven't even been mapped. I don't know, but there's a lot of woods and remote areas in Pennsylvania. So plenty of places for black bear and undiscovered cryptids to hide out. So that's
what would I know. Gwen also had some speculation to Centralia, with the underground, with the mines out there, and possible places.
I have a chapter on Centralia, the cursed Centralia in Coleridge and Hoodoo. And one thing that happened at the time, David Millard, the representative, was in charge of the Pennsylvania Department of Tourism, and I wrote him a letter. I said, listen, why do you consider, because they were banning these kids from going there to Centralia and checking it out. I say, why don't you just go and charge them a fee to go in these dune buggies and do a little trip around the outback and check it out? Make some money for tourism. At the time, Centralia was one of the top tourist attractions in Pennsylvania. certainly within the top 10. But every time I went there, I would see a ton of college kids, predominantly from the Philadelphia area, that were there looking at the graffiti highway.
Yeah.
Now, of course, they put tons of dirt over the graffiti highway, and nobody comes there. It's just it's too bad. I think that Pennsylvania missed the mark. I mean, if they would have had a little bit of vision, and if they would have had some progressive thinking, we could have preserved that in some way and maintained it and all that. But
I definitely agree, and that's something because what was I watching, Reels or something? I was watching. I shared it the other day to Gwen about I think it was Centralia and the whole little bit of history. I mean, not that I don't know about the history, because growing up in Shamokin, I remember that happening. I was in the center. I mean, I heard about it. I mean, I wasn't around when it happened, but I know when they started evacuating. It was, I was there.
And for your listeners who may not know about Centralia, that's in Columbia County. It's real close to Ashland, where they have the coal mine tour. But around 1962, the people in Centralia, and maybe they had a population of, I'm going to guess, like maybe 1,500 at the time. But anyway, they were getting ready for a holiday, and somebody decided to take the trash and throw it in a coal pit and burn it. Well, what happens was the anthracite coal caught fire, and it started to burn. And despite what they tried to do over the decades, it's still smoldering today. So that's since 1962. So
that is the largest of anthracite coal in the region, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the road buckled. The state came in with eminent domain.
Yeah.
Bought out the people. There's, I think, five people living in Centralia right now. They could live there until they die, and then Centralia becomes a ghost town. I mean, a real ghost town. So.
Yeah, I agree, because their family members can't take that over. They chose to, stay.
Yeah.
What was the other thing? I remember that road that was sinking, because that used to go up the hill and down.
Yeah.
I remember it was like 80. I graduated 89, so it was like the fall of 89, early 9 when I went to Penn State Schuylkill campus. So I dated a girl in Mount Carmel. We would go that way and up through 6061 that way, 901 to Schuylkill Haven. And I remember I had a 85 and a half. That's back when they used to do the half years. 85 and a half Ford Escort.
Oh, okay.
I remember one time coming out of that dip, I swear the whole thing just got launched, and it was fun. And then they would pave it over, and then it would sink, and then they did it. But you know what was interesting? They paved the main road, and that sunk. But down below the hill, there was nothing wrong with that road.
Yeah.
Never, because then they closed the main road, which became Graffiti Highway. Yeah. And I agree with it. Like, it wasn't sinking. No big holes were opening. So as far as, any kind of, hazard, I mean, it's been, over 30 years since I've been on it. It's not opened up to a big fiery pit, like you said. They should have.
And the story about Centralia, though, there was a Irish Catholic priest who was beat up by the Molly Maguires. Okay. And he put a curse on the town of Centralia. He said, at the end of the day, the only thing left standing will be St. Ignatius Church. And what happened was, the whole town got torched, including St. Ignatius Church. So that was the curse.
Wow.
And, anyway, we have a lot of that history in our area, and with Coal Region Hoodoo in particular, I was able to document some of the things, and so that's just been a great thing to do, because I just figure somebody has to do it, and in order to do it, you have to be ready, willing, and able, and I was, and so that's sort of like my legacy. But if anyone is interested in the paranormal aspects of the Coal Region, definitely check out Coal Region Hoodoo. It's just I think it's a really good read, and it's all about our area and Pennsylvania.
Yeah. And the Molly Maguires are a history, because they formed in the Locust Gap area.
Yeah.
One of the last Molly Maguires was hung in the Northumberland County Jail, as well as up in Mauchunk or Jim
Jim
Thorpe.
Thorpe. Yeah.
That's a pretty interesting thing to see that handprint to this day still on that wall.
Yeah. And then also you have historians who claim that the Molly Maguires never really existed, that they were just propaganda from the coal mine owners, to scare people and to dupe them and everything else. So you have that side of the coin. And there are some historians that I talked to that, hang their hat on that they claim that the Molly Maguires, I don't believe it, but they claim that they never existed. They were sort of freedom fighters. They were trade unionists. They were advocating and fighting for better wages, conditions for the miners. And it's just like Mother Jones. There was this little old lady named Mother Jones that went down to West Virginia to petition for better treatment of the coal miners. And, for as bad as Pennsylvania coal miners had it, the coal miners in West Virginia had to top off their buggies even more. So Mother Jones came down there to organize, and she was a feisty old gal. And, for your listeners, for your homework assignment tonight, Google Mother Jones and find out about her. I mean, she's worthy. She's worthy of a documentary or a Hollywood motion picture.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it really is.
I could tell you a story. A gentleman that was the father of a girl I was dating told a story. I don't know if it was one of his relations back in the day of the Molly Maguires. They had I don't recall if he said where. I don't know if it was Gerardville or somewhere out there, but they had I remember him telling the story. There was, I'm going to try to repeat it. It's been years. Here we go. There was a bar that the coal mine bosses would go to. Well, the owner of the bar had a room that they had made with like a mirror that you can't, that they could hear. So the Molly Maguires would actually be inside there listening to the mine bosses talk. So if they came in, if there was a mine bosses, the owner of the bar would always put them in this booth. And
so they could eavesdrop.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, I never heard of anybody claiming the Molly Maguires were a folklore. I mean, I've always,
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the historian. I think he's from the Sunbury area, but I had a conversation with him, and that's what he was saying. But again, I don't believe that. I mean,
no.
I think that maybe the mine owners might have, floated that idea, but just, as a diversion. But I don't believe that. Actually, the miners, they hired Pinkertons, and so they had armed security guys there that. And where was the massacre there around the Latimer? In the Latimer area, they shot all these coal miners. I mean, there's a lot of atrocities that happen. And I'll tell you what, I mean, our coal region was predicated on indentured servants and on breaker boys, these little babies, 12, 13, 14-year-old kids that were working down in the mine and doing leading the mules around and getting smashed and injured and killed. I mean, it was horrible. And one thing in this country, we had laws to protect animals before we had laws to protect little children. And Pennsylvania really needs to, needs to feel the shame for sending little babies down there. I'll tell you what, we did the Lansford No. 9 Watton tour, and they were talking about a kid that was 5 years old. He was the head of the household. His father died, and in order to keep that company home where they were staying, this kid had to work. So he led the mule around. 5 years old. I mean, go wrap your arms around that.
That is hard to understand.
That's hard to believe, yeah. But that's
they didn't have the safety. I mean, I did the tour of the Ashland.
Yeah.
And I remember in 5th grade, but then I did it when I was older, and to go down in like 400 feet, and you don't realize you're descending 400 feet, and the next thing you know, it's cold. I remember in 5th grade, we went there on a field trip, and I don't know. I remember we had like a watermelon and something, and like just put it at the end of right inside the coal mine, the shaft.
Yeah.
Like, what? And as soon as that open door, and this was in the spring, I can recall to this day that brush of cold air, just like wow, like holy crap, is that cold?
It's a constant. I want to say 54 degrees down there.
Really?
So even with the Shepton miners that were trapped there for 2 weeks, I mean, boy, they struggled with hypothermia, and just like it gets into your bones. It's just horrible conditions. So.
And then you were mentioning before the show with your Coal Region Hoodoo, you were talking about a chapter on Dr.
Santee, yeah. And let me see if I have the show you this if I can. This is the back in June 1st. Let me see. You could see that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the 7th annual Hermetic Studies Conference, and that was up in Wilkes-Barre. So they invited me there to do a presentation on Dr. Santee. Now, Dr. Santee was a white witch. He was the high priest for the Coven of the Cata. It was in Walpin, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And he was my doctor. I was his friend. I interviewed him numerous times, and I had the tape recording that we were playing there at that institute. But anyway, when I was there, I met this woman who's in charge of the Oculus Alchemy, and it's a occult TV program in New York City. So we talked, and they came down to Walpin on Friday, August the 9th. And that's when Hurricane Debbie was coming through the area. There were thunderstorms, there were tornado warnings. It rained like hell. And we did a 4-hour shoot inside the old River Church there in Walpin without electricity. So we had to go and get a generator to get electricity to have lights. But anyway, this program on Oculus Alchemy is going to be played in New York. I think she's shooting for October the 9th. But what I'm trying to do is I'm going to try to have a premiere at the Berwick Theater, where we would go and open this up to the public and have a number of the people that participated in this shoot, like myself, having interviewed Dr. Santee, Cinda Hartman, who's a genealogist who is related to Dr. Santee, Travis McHenry, he's an occultist from the Bloomsburg area, and Michael, he would be a great interviewee for your podcast.
Okay.
Travis is really big in Brazil. And then Barb Smith, who is the president of the Walpin Historical Society. And then we also had a woman, Amy, who is a Wiccan. She's from Berwick, and she was familiar with Dr. Santee's. But at any rate, I helped put this together, pick the locations and the people. And it's really kind of cool. I mean, this just fell into my lap, so I mean, call it what you will, like either serendipity or fate or destiny. But all of a sudden, this woman is handed me her card and saying she'd like to do a program. And so we did it. So it happened. And so it's going to be broadcast. But I want to have it premiered in Berwick because I just think that'd be a great thing. And then when we do, we could go invite people like you to go and maybe do some interviews or meet some New York City people or whatever. So it's exciting stuff.
It is. That's exciting. And I would definitely be keeping an eye on your Facebook page. And please shoot me a message going.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'll respond to you, Maxim.
Okay.
I know Gwen's watching this, so I'll be like,
hi, Gwen.
Yeah. Gwen, Maxim kind of likes you. He said you're blowing him off. He's a little hurt.
No, I'm not hurt. She scares me. I'm concerned. That's all. I told her a couple of times. She's overworking.
Yeah, definitely she is.
Anyway.
But we definitely, and she's not only doing her job as a paramedic, she's doing everything with the research and the Bigfoot season with the conference.
Yeah. And Gwen, if you're listening, thanks for all the good work that you do. I mean, I'm really glad that you brought Bigfoot to Eastern Pennsylvania or Northeastern Pennsylvania because we deserve it, and it shouldn't just be relegated to Western Pennsylvania. So I'm glad that you did that.
That's great, and I know she'll appreciate that. And yeah, just at next year's conference, definitely. I mean, I know we talked backstage, like get you set up. And again, people who's watching tonight, August the 12th in Elysburg at the All Homes Day location. Oh, look who's coming. She does exist.
Hi, Maxim.
Hi, is that Gwen? Gwen, I can't see it's all bitmapped.
I know.
Yeah,
I think it's the Men in Black. I really do. You guys are doing stuff.
I can't get that lucky for a Men in Black, the kidnapper.
Yeah.
I'll be back in 10 seconds, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Did you hear what Maxim said?
What?
What about bringing Bigfoot to Northeast PA?
Oh, anytime. It was
And
my
he's worried
pleasure.
about you because you do work a lot and he's hurt a little bit because you do not get back to him.
I know.
He never does. Yeah.
I'm
Wow.
terrible at returning phone calls. You are not the only one. Let me go take care of the dog fight.
Wow.
Oh, okay. So, but yeah.
Yeah. One thing in my book that I wanted to say, a lot of people toss around the word missing link.
Yeah.
And I'm all about science. I mean, I think there's a lot of anti-science there, and there's a lot of hoaxers. And I think we need to do everything we can to legitimize, Sasquatchery and the hunt for this cryptid and all that. And one thing I do is I talk a lot about what I call the erroneous missing link.
Mm-hmm.
And I contend that there's no such thing as a missing link. There's a lot of people that try to connect these cryptids, as the link between apes and man. And that's just total folly, totally unscientific. And the reason I say that is that man and ape had the same common ancestor. It's an SCA. And millions of years ago, the apes, the gibbons and the chimps, departed from that ancestor, climbed the trees, and successfully adapted and evolved and had their own species. And then around the same time, man departed from that same common ancestor and also climbed the trees, and then eventually came down as Homo erectus and Homo sapiens. And then at that point, man started to go and adapt, learn to use tools and language and fire and the art of war, but two separate species. Man did not evolve from ape. Anybody that tells you that, you need to go and correct them. That is the wrong way to put it. We shared a common, what they call the SCA, the same common ancestor. So our closest relatives are the chimpanzees and the bonobos. And here's something interesting. We share 98% of our DNA with chimpanzees and bonobos, 98%.
Wow.
And I had this idea for writing a book called The 2%. So what is that 2% of the DNA that sets us Homo sapiens apart from the apes? I mean, what does that 2% represent? I mean, think about that. If we share 98% of our DNA with chimpanzees, I mean, that's pretty amazing.
It is.
But anyway, I talk about that, and and I also call out the hoaxers. I mean, there's been all these hoaxers throughout history. Certainly, I have a chapter on the Piltdown Man and the Mississippi Iceman, and in both cases, these hoaxers try to say that the Piltdown Man and the Minnesota Iceman were missing links, and they were able to dupe cryptozoologists and zoologists into thinking that was true. And it was just pretty amazing. I mean, you got to read those chapters just to see what the mindset was at the time and why the scientific and political community would allow such a hoax to continue.
Yeah.
And to read about that, I mean, it's a pretty intriguing story, especially with the Piltdown Man. And basically, Piltdown Man was discovered in England, and they were in competition with Germany. Germany had their Heidelberg Man, and that was an ancient hominoid that they found. And so England wanted their own. And even though this was a hoax, a fake, because of nationalistic pride, and
Yeah.
everything else, they sort of turned their head the other way and just sort of wanted it to happen, wanted it to be a reality, but which it wasn't. So again, here it was a hoax, and I claim in my book, I'm about as militant as you can get, but I claim that these hoaxers have sold their souls to the devil.
Yeah.
What they do for their 15 minutes of fame is to go and set us back.
Mhm.
And it's hard enough being cryptozoologist to go and get any kind of attention or respect from the scientific community.
Yeah.
But these people that the hoaxers just stand in between us and them, and it's just a horrible thing. And I'm not shy about mouthing off and calling them out, because
That's good, and you got to, because it's definitely, no matter who or what they hoax about, is definitely shadowing a black cloud over things. I mean, like, people in like either the Bigfoot thing, mostly people, like, we're at conferences, somebody like, you really believe in one? It's like, well, we never seen one, you never did this. And you know what I say to those folks? I'm like, wait a minute, so do you believe in a God? Well, yeah. Have you ever seen it? No.
right.
But thousands of years ago, people got together and said there was a God, and this is what we should do. And I'm Catholic, so I'm not bad mouthing a religion. I'm just saying that from an early age, I was taught that there's a God and there's a son of God, and they did this and all of this stuff. I've never seen them. No one's appeared to me and said, "Here I am.
Yeah.
I'm the son of God. I'm Jesus. I'm da da da." So, but I have faith. So you're telling me over the hundreds of thousands, like thousands of years, people have been saying, I've seen this big, either huge white Yeti, or I've seen this big Sasquatch. Like, they're making it up. And, to this day, and like, how do you explain some of the casts that are made?
Oh, yeah. To me, I mean, there's a couple of things. There's eyewitnesses. Now, they claim that eyewitnesses are the worst kind of proof, because we could be filled with whatever, emotions and everything. So but still, we have thousands of people that have seen Bigfoot, and also groups of people that are seeing Sasquatch at the same time. So that's one thing. The footprints are the other thing, and these are larger than any bear or human or man. Just five-toed, and and they find them in remote areas that would be really difficult for hoaxers to go in there and plant these things. And then the other thing, I think the third thing, is the Patterson-Gimlin film, and I've seen that a million times, and I write about that extensively in the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot. And I believe that this is probably some of the best proof that we have. And consider this, if in fact Roger Patterson was putting together a hoax, I mean, don't you think that film that he took would be longer than 58, 59 seconds? Because that's all that Patty film from 1967 was, just 58 seconds of Patty walking, turning, and looking at Patterson, and then walking away, and you could see the breast. It was female. And some people feel that she was pregnant. And Doug Hychek, I was just interviewed by Doug yesterday, and Doug feels that that Patty was running away, going another place that animals do, because she had two small barefoot children. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. No, I agree. And then that's back in the day, like that, to come up with some sort of suit that, I mean,
yeah.
Right. You're going to do all of that work for a hoax for less than a minute.
Less than a minute, right?
Like that, and then to get a woman or a guy to be in a suit and be like, "Are you serious? Or you want me to run around here for 1 minute?" Like,
and then you had the people looking for their 15 minutes of claiming that I had somebody make the suit, but yet there's no receipts or documentation. I was the guy that wore the suit, and again, there's no evidence of that, just this hearsay, this talk. And then also you had the guy named Ray. It was a Ray L. Wallace, and Ray L. Wallace was around Bluff Creek, and when they discovered those tracks around Bluff Creek, legitimate tracks. I mean,
Yeah.
we made the casting, but Ray Wallace went around and he was making the fake tracks. And when you take a look at his tracks versus the Bigfoot tracks, you could see just how amateurish they were. I mean, you could tell that they were just fake. But the news media jumped all over this, and they made it sound like, the Bigfoot tracks were fake. And so Ray L. Wallace got the notoriety. But there's a quote here from Loren Coleman. And he was the guy that really disputed Wallace's claims. And he said, quote, Loren Coleman, quote, "Fakery not revealed is a lie that lives on into the future," unquote. And it was Loren Coleman that really went head to head with this Ray L. Wallace to demonstrate that the media was really looking for a juicy story. And that juicy story was that Bigfoot tracks were being faked by Ray L. Wallace. And that became the story when it's really not the truth. I mean, what he did was he did some really piss poor tracks that some of the media people, being lazy and not being investigative journalists, just ran with that and made that the story. But it wasn't the story. And why should an idiot hoaxer like Ray Wallace get any kind of notoriety at all? I mean, he doesn't deserve it. And although I do mention him in my book in a chapter about the hoaxers.
Oh, okay.
And but again, when you look at the wonderful tapestry that is Sasquatchery, the hoaxers unfortunately fit in as part of that.
Yeah.
I hear dogs. I hear this dog man.
Dog man. We have two bloodhounds that are just 110 pounds of beast. Now they're gonna play with each other.
Don't bite Gwen, please.
Yeah, no, they won't. Hopefully not. She's out there. But I know we're getting close to an hour, and I want to respect your time as well.
Yeah,
I appreciate having you on.
I do want to just, if I may, just remind your listeners that on September the 16th, Monday, I'll be doing a PowerPoint presentation on the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot that is really pretty amazing. I'm just putting a lot of effort into it. It's just great. So we're going to talk about Bigfoot, the whole history of Bigfoot and Sasquatchery. And if you have any interest at all in Bigfoot, please show up. It's free. Monday, September the 16th. The McBride Library is in Market Street. It'll take place at 6:30, and I'm hoping to have books in hand to autograph. So, so we're hoping, for that. But if the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot is available on Amazon.com as well as Hangar One Publishing. So, give it a shot.
I will. I'll definitely take a look at it as well. And you said you can friend request them or see them on Facebook, Maxim Furek.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Check me out on Facebook, and I'll keep you informed of my podcasts and and presentations. We'll use Facebook as the social media. So
So I do have one other question. Any other books in the works or in any planning?
Yeah, I'm working on one now called Dream Gliding, Summoning the Wisdom of the Ancients. And it's sort of like a self-help book.
Okay.
But I believe, as a former altar boy, that...
Same here.
Yeah, that which was great. Believe that there's nothing new under the sun, that everything that Deepak Chopra or Anthony Robbins or Zig Ziglar or Anthony Eckhart Tolle are saying has been articulated 2,000 years ago by Jesus and Buddha and Muhammad and everybody else. There's nothing new under the sun. 2,000 years ago, Mike, there were guys like me and you having the same kind of conversation about things that they see in the sky and whether or not God exists and all the other things, the search for proof.
Yeah.
So our behavior doesn't change. Nothing really changes. And so this is called Dream Gliding, honoring the what do I call it? Honoring the wisdom of the ancients. So I'm 13 chapters into that, and I'm having some fun with it. So it's going to be a departure from the paranormal, but something that I'm interested in.
Absolutely. Boy, but you were busy, not only with the events and stuff you promote, but also you just got a book released, and now you're already 13 chapters into a new book. That's
Yeah, yeah. And again, I want to acknowledge you and your wife Gwen for what you're doing, and for the listeners to just go and realize how important that is to have a vehicle like yours, to go and talk about the paranormal and to talk about cryptids and all that, and to be in our backyard and to go and preserve the beautiful, rich legacy of northeastern Pennsylvania and the coal region. And boy, if you haven't, you need to read about our area, and it's just a rich history. And northeastern Pennsylvania fueled the Industrial Revolution. It was with the anthracite coal,
Yep.
and we were important, to the whole in industry and economy and military of the United States. So we are maybe a lot more important than we realize.
Yeah, I just think, like you said about Centralia, the vision wasn't there. I look at, like, from Shamokin, and not just because it's the coal, but Babe Ruth played in Maysville right outside of Shamokin, by where now the Coal Township Walmart is. You had all. It's like there's just no, like, the history was lost, and there was no envision of, like you said, for tourism or promotion. Another thing I said for our area for the years, trains have been big in the Shamokin, Danville, Sunbury area.
Yeah.
We can't get a train to come, like I can't believe in the year 2024, and we don't have we can't pick up an Amtrak and jump and go out.
Yeah.
Drive all the way to Harrisburg.
Yeah.
I grew up on Shamokin Street, and I went to St. Ed's school. St. Ed's Church was the first church that had electricity because of Edison.
Yeah.
You had Thomas Edison in Sunbury because there's a Hotel Edison. So you're right. not only coal, there's just so much history that I think is lost in our areas.
Yeah. Well, at one time we had trolleys and we had railroads, and then because of the automobiles, we got rid of all that stuff, and which was really sad. That was just a wonderful way of transportation, and it's still important today. But it's too bad that we got rid of all those trains.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So, well, is there anything else you want to promote? This is why we have you on. I appreciate you coming on and talking.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, just if you're interested in any of my books, check out Maxim Furek, Furek, on Amazon, Amazon Books, and all of my books are there. The Shepton book, which is pretty awesome, and Coal Region Hoodoo, and the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot. So there are there. So if you're interested, in the paranormal aspects of our area, especially, Coal Region Hoodoo might be the book for you. So.
Well, I want to thank our guests for watching. This is a show. If you like it, please subscribe. Join us for our next show in 2 weeks. I apologize. I wasn't prepared to say who our guest is, but it's going to be a guest. I want to thank Maxim for coming on, and look forward to seeing you and getting a hold of your book. And if we don't see you anytime, hope to see you next August at our festival.
Absolutely. Please keep me in mind for that. I want to participate on a number of levels. So just to help make it even more of a success. So
appreciate it. So definitely to everybody watching or even jumping in here, check us out. We have a Facebook page. We got knockers.org is our website that will take you out to any information with either Got Knockers or the Cryptid and Bigfoot Festival. So yeah. Everybody have a good night. Maxim, I'm going to go ahead and take us out with the intro or the outro. Let's see, where is that? There we go.
This has been a CARC Universal production.
Okay, so it's a